here we got to complete this table of values with equation y equals x squared minus 2. Now, let me write it here because I'm going to use it in a moment from now. Now, you can see we have a table of values with some empty spaces for the value for y, right? So, we got to complete it. That's what we're really here for. To do that, I'm going to take the value for x, which is 3, each of them, okay? But I'll begin from the far right, x is 3, and substitute for x in this equation, working equation, to get the corresponding value for y. So let's get started. So when x is 3, and I substitute x here with 3, so I have 3 squared minus 2. Now 3 squared is 3 times 3, which is 9, and 9 minus 2 is 7. So y is 7. The corresponding value for y is 7. Next, when x is 1, again, I'll replace in the working equation with 1, 1 squared. You have 1 squared minus 2. 1 squared is 1, and 1 minus 2 is minus 1. So the corresponding value for y is minus 1. Again, I take the value for x, which is 0, and substitute in the working equation for x. So that's going to be 0 squared minus 2. Of course, 0 squared is 0 times 0 is 0, and 0 minus 2 is minus 2. So here is going to be minus 2. And now when x is minus 2, I would need to get a value, corresponding value for y. Take the value of minus 2 and put in here in the working equation. Minus 2 squared, take away 2. Now we have here minus 2 squared. Now minus 2 squared means minus 2 times minus 2. And that's going to give me 4. And now 4 take away 2, that's going to be 2. So the corresponding value for y here is 2. So now we have the table of value completed. The first is done and dusted. So we got to move on to the next question B. But before I do that, I would like to kind of clear the screen here. And now the B says, draw the graph of y equals x squared minus 2, which again is the same equation we began to complete the table of values. And what we're going to do is to use the coordinates to like plot crosses upon this square graph. Okay, so to do that, let's start off when x is minus 2, y is 2. So I go on the x-axis where I have minus 2, which is this point, and go up, which is 2, and then put my cross here. And next, when x is minus 1, y is minus 1. So again, on the x-axis where you have minus 1 is here, and then come down minus 1 and put my cross here. I repeat the same process for every other coordinates. When x is 0, y is minus 2. So when x is 0 here, and y is minus 2, so I come down here. And when x is 1, y is minus 1. So when x is 1, the corresponding value for y is minus 1. So I'm going to come down here and put my cross here. The next coordinate, when x is 2, y is 2. So I go again on my x-axis. There's 2, and we're going up 2. So that will be here. And lastly, when x is 3, y is 7. So again, on my x-axis, I locate 3, and then sit here, and then go up 7 squares up. That's going to be somewhere here. So what we're going to do now to complete our graph is to connect all the points, these points here, with a smooth curved line. Yep. So this is done neatly. So you can see I have a curve when I plot this quadratic graph. Then we come to question C. Now, question C is asking, use the same graph that we've just done to estimate. Now, the key word there is estimate. I mean, of course, close to the answer. So we're going to estimate the value of x when y is 1. So how we're going to do this is really simple. Because we're trying to find the value for x when y is 1. So you go on the y-axis where you have 1, and this is the point. So on this point where y is 1, you're going to draw a horizontal line, okay, that's going to cut through the graph and cutting the curve on either side of it. So I'm going to do that to show you. So x is 1 here, so I'm going to draw a straight line, a horizontal line when y is 1. You can see this is the line, and where the line touches the both side of the curve, I trace it down to the x-axis. Let me start on the right side. If I trace this down, down to the x-axis. This is the point here. And then do the same on the other curve on the left side and trace it down. This is somewhere here. So now I'm going to read up my value for the x-axis. If I read up my value, you'll see that the x here is about this 1.5, that's about 1.75, 1.8. So I may say anything 1.75 on the x-axis. It does have two answers, and the other one on the left, on the negative side here, this 1.5. This is about 1.75 also, about 1.8, negative 1.8. But I think it's safer for me to use minus 1.75. So because this is an estimate, so you may not have the exact answer, but something very close. Some may have 1.8, 1.8, but the margin of difference isn't much. So this is how to work this question. Now in this question, we got to complete the table of value we have here with the equation y equals 4x squared. Now I just want to write it here because it's going to help me to complete the table of value. Now I'm going to take the value for x here when x is 1 and substitute for x in this working equation to get the corresponding value for y. So if I replace x with 1, I have 4 times 1 squared. Now 1 squared is 1 and 1 times 4 is 4. So the y here is going to be 4. Next, I take the value for x0, again substitute in my working equation to get the y value. So you have 4 times 0 squared. Again, 0 squared is 0 and 4 times 0 is 0. So the corresponding value for y here is 0. And now here when x is minus 2, again I substitute for x in the working equation to get y value. So doing that I have 4 times minus 2 squared. Now I begin with minus 2 squared is going to be 4. And 4 times 4 here definitely going to give you 16. So the corresponding value for y here is 16. So I'm going to use this table of this coordinates to complete the graph here. Now this is how we're going to do this. I'm going to take some crosses. All right, I'm going to take some crosses to do that. So when x is minus 2, y is 16. So when x is minus 2, is it? Y is 16. So I'm going to go up here and put the cross here in 16. The next thing I need to do next, when x is minus 1, y is 4. So on x again, axis, when x is minus 1, y is 4, and that's going to be somewhere here. Next, when x is 0, y is 0. So when x is 0, y is 0, still we're going to be sit on the same point here. So I put my cross there. Next, when x is 1, y is 4. When x is 1, y 4 up here. And lastly, when x is 2, y is 16. So when x 2 here, y 16 will be up here. So to get this completed, drawn out, I need to connect all the points with a smooth curve. Again, I like to say that you want to have to be very careful if you're going to draw that. Very, very careful, So let's do it together. I'm going to connect the points. So I connect the points. And then take it up. That's it. So the curve is completed. Now I'm going to use the next question, C, to answer this graph, to answer the next question, C. Use the graph to estimate the value of y when x is 1.5. Use the graph to estimate the value of y when x is 1.5. And to do that, what you're going to do is simply go where you have x 1.5, which is definitely going to be somewhere here on the x-axis, 1.5, and trace it up with a straight line until it touches the curve, the blue curve. At this point, you trace it to the y-axis. That's going to give the corresponding value for y, which you're looking for. And that value there definitely we can see is actually 8, right? It's for sure it is 8. So the value there is 8. So the answer y is going to be equals to 8.